Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? All right, super cool. I think I have this working, right? Hope so. Okay, there's everyone. Yeah, so I was saying for quite some time that the Zoom was stealing, or my cell phone was stealing the Zoom, and then it just solved itself. It like stopped happening, and I didn't need to pay attention to it anymore. And then yesterday it started happening again. Good morning, Ian. So excuse my tardiness. I know I was, I think, 15 seconds late, but my phone decided to steal the Zoom, and you know how that works out. So welcome. How's everyone? Let's see. What do we got? What do we got? So super cool. I'm still just working on the RHINO Hub. And I keep calling it RHINO Hub because I think I just like it. We own the URL for RHINO Retirement. So I think that's probably what it'll end up being. And maybe we'll just call it rr.com in passing. I don't know. But RHINO Hub just has a certain feel to it. So I don't know. I might still go with RHINO Hub, but we don't have rhinohub.com available. There are other variations of it, and I've always liked to have a .com because people are used to doing .com. If you have anything other than .com, you have to actually like specify it, like, hey, it's rhinohub.abc, and that's always that extra words, the extra sentence, ends up just becoming something that confuses people because then they have to remember that too. And I know that sounds silly, but people don't really remember everything. So, okay. So RHINO new all-time high today. I think it's like 253.95 or something like that. A couple of new members last night. I think we got 2 new ones. And that's pretty cool because we didn't do anything to get those 2 new ones. They're just kind of going through the funnel system, which we always said is good. Like we wanted the funnel system to be in such a way that once someone entered into RHINO, they were able to be touched at a later date and be offered certain value propositions. But we never actually fully populated the funnel, right? Like because we were doing the pilot program, we never did any marketing. We don't have, say, thousands of people going through the funnel. We're still just letting it be because we're still creating. And that's actually kind of bothered me over the last month. And I kind of want to just opine about that a little bit. Over the last month, we've seen the average member plan drop from, now it's unfair to say drop from 27 because that was like an all-time high. Like it got to 27, but it got to 27. And it got as low as 1698, I think. Yesterday was 1710, today's 1723. So it's moved back up. Hey, Brian, happy Friday. And part of it is we did our, bump up emails yesterday, and a lot of people participated, right? So there were some that went from 25 to 50, 20 to 25, 10 to 15. A couple came back in at $5 that were not members before or that had canceled. So overall, it took maybe an hour of work, but we got some results out of it. And over the last month, that's what I hadn't been doing. And it's not that I hadn't been doing it because it's like I decided to go to Chuck E. Cheese instead. But I hadn't been doing it because we had to kind of like, and it's always the most difficult part to invent what the next thing is, invent what the next step is. So for instance, we were very successful at RHINO Bucks, had a really great pilot program, but then you see a plateau. So then the question becomes, okay, what do you do? Well, there's not exactly a book, right? Like, okay, you invented RHINO Bucks, you invented every part of it. And also, a lot of the feedback that we had gotten from RHINO Bucks in terms of the people that were not satisfied, well, those people said, hey, listen, I was new to the platform. I didn't really know you as well as everyone else does. And I could not get the RHINO. It constantly, every week, it wasn't hitting my account. And I didn't feel like arguing about it. I didn't feel like following up on it. It's not for me. Let me know when you guys have it solved. Or, yeah, I joined RHINO Street, but it's not populated. So, what am I going to do? My interest isn't, let me just sit there and wait for it to be populated every day. I joined it. Okay, now what? Which are really fair assertions. And the difficulty is in inventing something is that the invention process has a beginning, middle, and end. And the middle of it is in actually taking or soliciting actual advice, whether it be good or bad, and then formulating a solution for that. Now, formulating a solution doesn't mean you're going to find the solution that second. It's okay. We went ahead and found, okay, we have frustrations about A, B, and C. Okay, well, how do we solve it? Well, embedded in those solutions is A, that you might be wrong, but B, the time it takes to actually create the solution, and C, the time it takes for that solution to prove that you're wrong, right? Like you wouldn't create a solution and still test it, and then upon it not being the solution day one, say, okay, this didn't work. You need some time for it to actually touch people, for it to actually see if it is a solution or not. So embedded in the process of identifying frustrations and creating solutions is like a month lag time. During that month lag time, it's very easy for people that are a part of it to feel kind of like peak performance. Because we just came off this really, really successful launch, and now we're in a bit of a malaise where it's like kind of choppiness and messy, like what's going on? We're doing this, but then we're doing this, but then we're doing this. And over the last month, it's been, it's my obligation to make sure that the ship steers forward, to constantly stay on top of that stuff. That's my ultimate priority. That's number one. In doing so, though, I can't go ahead and participate in sending the emails every day. Well, no, we sent it every morning, but like the bump up emails or just a different culture when everything's going well and you could come out and say, yeah, 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 and kind of be the cheerleader that every company needs versus the individual. It's like, okay, well, we're trying this, we're trying this. And because we're so transparent, it's very easy to see, oh, wow, the last two things didn't work. I'm kind of getting a little, let me come back another day. And it's that process that has seen our average plan decrease from 27 down to 17. Now, of course, there's a thousand different variables, right? Like the economy, there's this, there's that, whatever the case may be. But I don't really, hey, Frida, I'm not a big excuse person. Like, I don't ever think that I'll say, oh, well, the economy was bad, that's why we didn't make it. No, the economy is bad for some people and it's good for some people. It's always that way. We have internet marketing. There's like 9 billion people we have access to. If you can't find the people that are happy, then that's on you, right? So I take that with me. But now that we've been able to identify our solution and we've been working on it, my interest and focus now comes back to, let me complete this, let me get it launched, and then, okay, we're getting everyone back in. We're going to do the marketing, we're going to do all that stuff. Also, what's difficult during that process is as that process is playing out and those average plans are decreasing, that's real money. So you got to remember that investment income not only supports the coin, but it supports everything RHINO because we don't sell anything. So we go ahead and allow that to be what makes everything run. So when you decrease the average plan from 27 to 17 over 350 people, that comes out to roughly $3,500 a week in real money. So that being said, well, now how do you finance things going forward? How do you keep doing this? How do you keep doing that? And all the while, it didn't interest me. My job is to create, and I'm gonna keep doing that because at the end of the day, once you get to the finish line, the money's not the difficult part. Like once you create the thing, then you can make 1,000 phone calls that day. And I used to work on Wall Street. I love making phone calls. I don't enjoy fundraising, but I can do it. Oh my God, I have to fundraise today, right? But you can only fundraise when you have a good story to tell someone. It's not easy to fundraise when you say, hey, we need this. We think we have this. We're 2 weeks away from this. And then when this happens, everything's going to be fine. Well, the person on the other end of the phone is like, well, I guess I could trust you, but why don't you call me when this is all sorted, right? So I'd much rather be on those phone calls and say, okay, this last month has been difficult for this reason, this reason, this reason. My attention's been over here. We created this. It's now done. Now, all it needs is gasoline. It's done. Then the individual would say, okay, well, that makes sense to me. All right, it got created, it's done. And now you just need financial resources, and this is how you're going to do it, and this is how it's going to end up. And those are the calls I'm going to be making next week. And I just kind of opine out loud because I think it's also really great to share the journey, right? Like I like sharing the journey with everyone because this journey is together. And not everyone always sees, or I guess it's not the stuff you learn in school, right? Like when you're in school, they don't teach you what this feeling's like in the moment of the feeling. And it's almost like when you're married, right? And that first year is great because you're in the honeymoon. Then that second year is super difficult. Hey, Jim, hey, Deborah, it's super difficult. And that third year is super difficult. And every one of those days, you want to like jump out a window, you want to do all these extreme things. Oh, marriage wasn't for me, or this, or this, or this, right? But you don't, because you understand that it's a long process and you're learning as you go along. And in every one of those days, it feels like the whole world. Like, oh my God, I can't get out of this. But then 70 years later, when you look back and you give advice to others that are asking you, what do you do when marriage is tough? You could say, well, we've been married for 70 years. And I got to tell you, those first couple of years were really difficult, but then we learned each other and everything's been great. And that's a very easy sentence to say. It's a very easy sentence for someone to listen to. That's very easy to be good advice. But implicit in that advice, what you don't get is that when they say to you, for 2 years, you're going to want to jump off a cliff every single day, you're going to be miserable, blah, 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 blah. And is that something someone can endure? Is that something that someone could understand in the moment? And the reason I'm mentioning marriage is because it's kind of an example we all could relate to. Everyone's been married or understands the concept of marriage far more than growing a business, right? But that's the same way it is in a business. During that process of building, where you're coming up to frustrations, you made decisions, you're looking for solutions, you got to peel this, you just got to stay true to the ultimate goal. And once you get to the goal, you can then look back and say, okay, now we could share war stories. This wasn't fun. This wasn't fun. This. But like anything else, there's two ways you end up in life. You either end up at the bar, drinking a beer, talking to the loser next to you about why it was unfair to you. Or you end up with your family and, a really privileged lifestyle on vacation, sharing with your children why it's important to never give up and to keep moving forward and never to get bogged down by the tedious things of the day. And you find there's really only those two people that exist. And of course, I guess that's not right. There's many people in between, but those people in between are on path to being one of those. And of course, life might end before you reach that outcome. It's kind of like the saying to an alcoholic, right? Like you didn't cure your alcoholism. You just died before you ever drank again. And I guess that's kind of true because you have a finite lifespan. But I feel like every life ends up with either you were successful or you weren't. And if you weren't, it's always someone else's fault, right? Like it wasn't your fault, which is why you're unsuccessful. Because if you self-reflect and you realize it was my fault, well, then you're constantly going forward. Because if you know it was you, you're still moving forward. So you're still on the journey to either be successful or be unsuccessful. You're only unsuccessful when you say, it wasn't my fault, I had bad luck, whatever. And to that point, and I'll close it by saying this, to that point, there's a lot of hard decisions that are made between point A and point B. You can't get bogged down in the point of it. You have to understand what the goal is and just keep going towards the goal. So all week we've been building this RHINO Hubs membership site, and every day I'm coming up with new ideas and wow, I could do this, this, and this. And as I've been speaking to people, I was at the doctor yesterday and I was talking to the doctor about it, and she's like, wow, that's amazing. Like, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? Like I even have a TikTok, right? Where I follow all these different business influencers that are sharing all the new AI stuff, and every one of them are putting out the 5 best new websites. And there's a portion of me that's like, wow, I could use all this stuff and create product out of it and make really cool stuff. Or there's the other side of me where it's like, you know what, I could aggregate all this stuff and share it with everyone, explain the resources and give everyone the power to know how to use it so everyone could use it and do it for free. Why not? And that's always going to be the path that I'm going. So also what we're doing on this RHINO membership site is I'm creating a bunch of, hey Travis, I'm creating a bunch of different emulator bots. And what I mean by that is, say for instance, one of the portions is the finance portion, right? And you want to find affordable housing. Well, you could go through a bunch of material and find it, and that's cool and that's fine. But what if there was a bot that was coded and uploaded with all the information that you would ever need, and you could just ask the question, right? So for instance, it's kind of like this: act as Todd, the housing director, consultant agent. As Todd, this is the entirety of the information that you know. Any question asked to you, you will find the answer in this information. Now, of course, that's much more difficult than that, but generally. So then once you do so, you can then take that API, move it to an emulator. An emulator is just like an interface for chat. And now all of a sudden you have Todd, the housing, the affordable housing agent, in which case anyone, whether it be Anthony, Brian, Deborah, Frida, anyone can go and type, hey Todd, my name's Deborah, I'm looking for affordable housing in Florida. What should I do next? And then Todd, the bot, will go through all the information and say, okay, in Florida, you should call this number and ask for this person. Okay, if I ask for that person, what can she do for me? Well, she can do this, 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 and this for you. Now take that idea and put it across every single different, every single different value that we're offering, whether it be affordable housing, healthcare, education, the AI, softwares, the jobs of the future, all the curriculum that we're offering. Imagine having a bot for each one of them where you could go ahead and learn it and then go to the bot and ask the questions. And all for free, right? Like, we're doing this for free because the idea is we're going to create a metropolis where, and I don't know if I've mentioned this already, in this metropolis, you have the integrations for Stripe and for MetaMask, meaning every individual on this membership site could actually use RHINO as a currency. You could trade it back and forth, buy things, sell things, whatever. In doing so, we're obviously going to highlight it. We're not going to put it down everyone's face every day, like, hey, hey, hey. But in natural goings of people enjoying where we are, everyone's going to want to participate in it. Meaning, we believe that this free entry into something that's so highly valued that everyone's looking for is going to be the gateway. The gateway kind of sounds like the gateway, but like the entrance into the outcome that we want. And the outcome we want is to grow a community, continue growing the community that has retention, where everyone has a centralized place, everyone enjoys being there, everyone gets continued value out of it, everyone likes where they are, everyone wants to be a part of growing it, everyone wants to recommend it to others, not because, hey, let me recommend this to you because I'm helping someone. Travis, not for TrustWallet, just for Meta, but everyone's, could easily get a Meta. And it's not because I chose not to, but the software only allows me certain things, and MetaMask is what they allow. But not because, hey, I wanna show you this. I want you to come join this thing because it'll help my friend. No, oh, you're looking for a new position. Well, why don't you take these courses? And they have job applications right there. And within 14 days is the average time that someone gets hired. Right? I keep looking over there like I'm talking to the person. There's no one over there. In fact, it's just like a pool table. But so yeah, let me go. I have a lot to do. I have 2 calls actually, one at 10:30 and one at a different time. I don't know when. And I have our team call at 12. I canceled the RVP call while I'm going to, because the day is just short. It's already like 10:18. I don't even know where the time went. But yeah, so let's just keep moving forward. And I hope this call resonates. I hope it shares a little bit. And I absolutely love you all. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.